Canadian setting, Toronto. And that city's real-life SWAT team, the Emergency Task Force, the ETF, inspired Mark Ellis and Stephanie Morgenstern to create the series.
What sets the ETF apart from many other North American SWAT teams, and what we do in our fictional version as well, is that we emphasize both sides of their training. We emphasize the emotional sensitivity that they have to be highly adept at, as well as the lethal skills.
This is the real ETF. What's their take on FLASHPOINT?
It's an honor that they picked our unit. I mean, they could have picked any SWAT team anywhere in North America and made a hit show out of it.
I think that you have to take things with a certain grain of salt. You do have to accept that it's entertainment, and it can't be entirely true to life, or it wouldn't be a very entertaining show.
One of the interesting aspects of FLASHPOINT, being a Canadian show, is no one gets killed at the end of every show, whereas in the American shows, man, they got bodies all over the place.
We have a 43-year history here, and we have a very low number of shootings. You know, I think in that respect, yeah, it does reflect not just our unit or our city, but Canadian culture.
We wanted to be authentic because these guys don't want to walk in and kill someone. But the difficulty of what they do is at the same time as they're planning to try and reach out to someone, to figure out what's pushed them to the edge so that they can save them and pull them back, they have to be figuring out a way to also kill them, should it not work out.
Okay, we have a hostage situation with an unknown weapon. Talk is number one. We'll be ready with an immediate action if the hostage is threatened.
A soft approach, but the Toronto Police ETF carries some very big sticks.
Do we have a name for this guy?
It's like having a team of Terminators show up at your door.
Do not reach into your pockets at all right?
This is no exercise. It's the real thing. Some suspects with guns have barricaded themselves in an apartment.
Keep coming. Stop right there.
One by one, they're forced to surrender. Husband and wife writing team, Mark Ellis and Stephanie Morgenstern, realized the dramatic potential in the men and women who make up the real ETF.
They're heroes, and what they do is enormously difficult, and the baggage that they bring home with them at the end of each day is significant.
You know why we're all here? It's about helping you.
Human beings with terrible decisions to make. Should a suspect live or die?
Sierra 1, you got a solution?
I got the solution.
Copy that.
A hostage-taking on a busy street. Great material for a fictionalized TV drama. But it's based on an actual incident that took place on August 25th, 2004. A day the Toronto ETF will never forget. After trying to kill his estranged wife in an underground mall, an armed man grabs a hostage outside Union Station at the height of rush hour. ETF Sergeant Tom Sharkey, an experienced negotiator, tries to persuade the man to drop the weapon, but Sharkey's having a rough time.
He then began turning, he took the gun away from the young lady and kept pointing it at me, aiming down the barrel at me, so I kept jumping behind cover.
All of this playing out in front of news cameras and hundreds of onlookers, any one of whom could end up a target.
You're in the line of fire.
Meanwhile, hidden from the gunman, ETF sniper Gord Lusby slips silently into position.
And the adrenaline is pumping?
Oh yeah, no question.
When you see the guy waving his gun around and he points it at Tom Sharkey, what goes through your mind?
Obviously, it gets a little more heightened at that time. You know, that's why I'm there, set up to make sure that nothing happens to my teammates or the civilians around the area. So as soon as that happened, of course, I started realizing I'm going to have to take a shot and end this situation.
When you believe that less lethal options have no hope, and once you reach that stage where you honestly believe somebody's going to be killed if you don't do something, that's when you have to make that decision.
A hard choice, but Sharkey has no option. He gives Lusby the order. Take the shot.
He's been shot. He's been shot.
ETF snipers train for this moment, but now it's real. A body, a pool of blood, a life snuffed out.
It's the after effects later on, of course, you start double thinking yourself and, you know, making sure you did the right choice. That's when the nerves start kicking in a little more, of course, and you start worrying about what you've done, and you're thinking, looking around, seeing all the cameras and realizing I just shot a person on national TV.
That scene, the intensity of it all, sparked the inspiration to create Flashpoint.
The idea that something so brutal could happen in a place that we walk past every day. And it shook us up, and we couldn't help thinking about what are the consequences of this. Something has ended, some incident has ended, but something else is also just beginning today.
Easy, Mr. Happy.
Fictional characters, a different scenario, a different name for the SWAT team, the Strategic Response Unit, but the outcome is the same.
You've essentially become more or less the public executioner, and that's a tremendous weight to carry. What is the human cost, I guess, of being this kind of police officer in a very lethal situation?
Gord Lusby, the Toronto ETF sniper who shot the suspect that terrible day, remembers playing the scene over and over in his mind as he tossed and turned at night.
What's going through your mind that you can't sleep?
Just, not to make it sound trivial, but just silly things, like the call itself, obviously the big trauma of going through that, you know, just taking someone's life, of course, family, friends, like just everything's popping through your head, and at such a fast pace, as soon as I close my eyes, you know, boom, all these pictures are just bouncing in my head.
Eventually, the flashbacks stopped. Lusby moved on, first to the Toronto Police Marine Unit, and now he trains other officers. But in Flashpoint, the nightmares are only beginning for Ed Lane, the fictional sniper played by actor Hugh Dillon.
I'm fine. You may want to do the math one day on all the I'm fines.
Flashpoint explores those dilemmas, the demons that haunt the minds of the characters.
And that's what began to fascinate us, is the amount of just baggage that comes with being able to deal with life and death situations every day, facing the 20 worst minutes of someone's life. You face that again and again and again, and this is your job.
I told you not to come in!
In one episode, a retired officer runs completely off the rails and threatens to shoot himself in front of the team.
Danny.
I spent my whole career looking at the worst 20 minutes of other people's lives, and I can't take it anymore. All I see are the ghosts.
And what it took was his friends, and it took their understanding and their compassion of what he's been going through to be able to reach out and bring him off the edge.
And we also wanted to show a case where our guys were going to be identifying exactly with what he was going through, that they literally take off their vests and peel away their protective layers.
You're not the only one who sees ghosts, Danny. I gotta tell you, I don't want to put them anymore either.
Action!
Flashpoint is one of the few Canadian dramas to crack the American market, seen across the U.S. on the CBS network. That means big budgets, almost $2 million per episode, and an army of people on the set.
This is Sam Braddock from the Police Strategic Response Unit. Get away from my house!
It's clear. There's one in the spout. Spent tasing.
For the real ETF, those guns and equipment are more than just props. They're essential to get the job done.
There's no family left, Greg. That's what you realize. There's no reason why.
Good for TV, but if entertainment can also carry a message, it makes the series worthwhile for its creators.
What we do is just TV. What these guys do is much harder. It's real life. At the end of the day, if we can change the perception of the public that is walking down the street, if we can change their perception so that when they walk past an officer, they think of him a little bit differently, then we'll have done our job.